The next fight, William Knight and Marcin Prachnio. Speaking of dudes that are big, William Knight minus 110 here. Prachnio comes back at plus 110. Over under set at 2.5 rounds. Plus 147 for the over and under sitting at minus 147. Both guys 2-3 in their last 5. But man, if we take a deeper dive, for Will Knight, the guy is super strong. I mean, he weighed in his last fight at 251. He weighed in at 251 in his last fight against Devin Clark. That was last April. And if you check out his Instagram since then, he looks like he has taken a lot of control over his weight. I mean, he's kind of gotten everything dialed in, and he looks more shredded now. He's going to make that weight at 205. That's pretty much been his problem, like making the weight at 205. And then at heavyweight, like he's 5'10", and he doesn't necessarily have like great grappling or anything. He's just a strong dude all around. Not necessarily the most talented mixed martial artist, but he can be a weight bully, and that's probably his path to victory here. Like, he's going to need to throw hard and push his weight on Prachnio. If we look at Prachnio, just a very up and down fighter, I would say. He's shown like some decent stuff on the feet, karate background. I mean, if it's a kickboxing match, I would take Prachnio. He throws a lot of kicks to the legs, to the body, to the head. His only wins in the past 2 years are to Ike Villanueva and Khalil Roundtree, which is interesting. But he got it done as a plus 290 underdog, but we all know Roundtree's up and down. He took a little time off and then came back against Felipe Lins, lost that fight back last April. So got the loss there. Both guys coming off a loss. Both guys kind of need a win to stay in the UFC or at least solidify their spot. I don't really like betting on these type of spots because, I mean, it's probably pretty fair, but it's just who implements their game plan more. In the smaller cage, though, I would probably favor Will Knight. I mean, the guy takes up a lot of space in that octagon, and he's not necessarily easy to knock out. And he kind of had to have an accumulation of damage against Devin Clark. But I'd probably lean Will Knight just because he can, if he wants to implement that game plan, he has a better chance of doing it. So I'm going to go with that.
You look at Prachnio and he looks like, I mean, just his build, size, everything. He looks like a world beater. And then he gets in there, man, and he's losing these fights to guys that, I mean, he should be beating. I mean, you named his only 2 wins lately, and he's lost to guys like Felipe Lins, who's on this card as well. Who else is it? Mike Rodriguez. I mean, Magomed Ankalaev, whatever. But then the loss to Sam Alvey. It's like, you know, all the love to Sam Alvey, but Sam Alvey doesn't have a ton of wins in the last 5-6 years in the UFC, and now he's not in the UFC. So, I mean, it makes me nervous going in there against a guy with all the power like Will Knight, a guy who, if he wants, could probably get you up against the cage, kill time, get some control time, but is overall just super dangerous and super powerful. I just can't get behind Prachnio right now. The line is basically pick 'em, minus 110 Will Knight. That's a side I would lean at right now, but I honestly, thinking about it, I'm interested to see what the Will Knight by knockout prop is going to be when it comes out, because I could see the fight ending that way. I mean, Prachnio, he lost to Mike Rodriguez by TKO, Magomed Ankalaev TKO, Sam Alvey by knockout, and then he went the decision with Felipe Lins. Those are his losses recently. So, yeah, man, I think a guy with as much power like Will Knight is just going to take one shot. That knockout's going to be live the whole entire fight. And, believe it or not, Will Knight, for a guy that big, he's gone to decision quite a few times lately too, and gotten wins by decision. So, I mean, he can go all 3 rounds and, cutting down to light heavyweight. Maybe, he's got a little bit more energy. He's got a little bit more stamina. He's not carrying all that weight. So, yeah, man, on this fight, I see a lot more on the Will Knight side than I like on the Prachnio side. So, yeah, that's going to be my pick for this one by knockout.
Yeah, he's just got to throw, enter, throw his weight on him, get him up against the cage, and just make him carry his weight and use his strength. He just cannot sit back and at kicking range. He'll get picked apart.
I agree.